Hey guys, how's it going today? So, this is the official greenhouse build vlog compilation thing. If you've been around this channel for any length of time, if you have followed me on Instagram at all, you will have seen some photos, some side shots, some other vlogs that have the greenhouse in it. However, I have not officially gotten to making the greenhouse video. Long story short, I ended up getting a really bad sinus infection that was turning into bronchitis, so I didn't get the video done when I had planned on getting it done, but better late than never. So let's go on ahead and talk about our greenhouse, which is a Palram Harmony Greenhouse. This greenhouse is a 6 foot by 4 foot by 7 foot. Now, I will say, number one thing, in this video, you are going to be seeing some hyperlapse clips from when we were doing the build, and then I'm going to interject small portions where I am explaining certain things and the ins and outs and the things that we had difficulty with, things that we liked, the things that we didn't like in the build. All of that to be said, let's go on ahead and flash back to the very first hyperlapse video of us building the main frame. Here we go. Okay, so in that very brief flashback, you will have seen us make and create the outside of this frame. So it was pretty much just the main portions here. Now I am also going to explain and tell you about an incident that happened after we had done that. But I wanted to interject some information that would potentially be helpful for you if you decided to get one of the Palram greenhouses. So let me get you set down here. There we go. Okay. And adjusted. All right. So one of the things that we struggled with when we were building the main frame, everything that came to us was really great as far as construction, really sturdy. But one thing we did not like, and I will show you what we ended up doing later on, the corner pieces of the greenhouse in this particular model were plastic. And when we were putting them in, we were kind of hemming and hawing about it to begin with. We didn't exactly like it, but at the same time, there wasn't a whole lot that we could do about it. So we just went on ahead and built it the way that they said to build it. Now, as we were going through, one of the things that you will notice if you order this is the directions. And I wish I had kept them so that I could show you on the vlog, but the directions are all pictures. Now, the pictures are fairly detailed all the way around, but the problem is for somebody like me who is an amateurish beginner builder, there were mirror image issues that we ended up having when we were doing things. So it would show the picture one-sided, but when you went to do the other side, you had to invert a piece so that you had the right hole at this location and the correct hole at this other location, and the directions didn't specify that. So it would have been nice for me personally if they had in there a small little blip that said invert for other side, or showed another picture of it flipped around mirror image, because we did have to go back and correct things. So those are the top two things that we struggled with. Now, the other thing, we ended up putting the frame out here in the yard, in the location that we have it currently. However, it is spring at this point in the video when we did this section of the build. Now, one thing I will say about our area is we are in Tornado Alley, just on the tail end of it, so we are prone to high winds. Now, the other thing that I will say that we did not like about the Palram is going to be lack of options for anchoring. The majority of the anchoring involved bolting the Palram to a wooden platform, or going from the top down to the corners and anchoring out, which if you are having winds in your area that swirl, that kind of a tie down isn't going to work, because it will just push in the back or it'll push in the front, and you'll have a collapse and it'll compromise the frame. So neither one of those worked for us. The platform with wood wasn't going to work for us because we are near a dry creek. We do have water that washes up, and granted we have the herb bed now to help block some of that water, but we still do end up with water up here, and we didn't want to have to worry necessarily about having to continually redo the floors every 5 to 6 years. So that would be another thing that I didn't necessarily like about this. But back to the original story here. We had set this out here without any anchoring, and as you saw, there was no roof. And I will allow me to insert a photo here. So, moment please. Okay, as you can see, absolutely no roof. It's just the raw outside with a few of the panels, you know, slid in and placed out here. That was it. We didn't anchor it down. Well, long story short, next day we ended up having 17-mile-an-hour wind gusts. I had to go to work. I came home to finding it tossed into the ditch. So I had to drag it out of the ditch and back up here. Now, it is a very sturdy piece of equipment. The only thing that ended up breaking is 3 of those plastic corners ended up cracking. So I was talking with my mom on the phone, and we were discussing what to do and trying to figure it out, and my neighbor Dave came over and he said, you know, you can just put this and this in the corner, and then you can have it anchored that way and you'll be fine. So let me show you what we did. Okay, so as you can see here in the corner, we have these treated lumber blocks, and they're a nice thick, they're about 2 inches, 1.5 to 2 inches, treated wood, and all he did was put a hole in it and then drove this piece down here into the ground, so it's down at least a good foot, and then anchored it with bolts. Okay, so as you can see, we kind of had a 2-for-1 bonus doing that, putting those in the corner. Now granted, yes, it's wood, but it is a treated lumber. Now we could have done a floor in treated lumber, but frankly, replacing that much wood and building a wooden platform, we just don't have the tools, we don't have the equipment to do that. So our neighbor was gracious enough to come over and help us and do that. You also saw that we did a layer of gravel in there to help with weed suppression, plus it's really nice to walk on in there. All right, so after all that, I'm going to bounce you over to the next hyperlapse, and you'll get to see us, I believe, putting together the roof. Yeah, because that was interesting. So let's go on ahead and head over and get that going too. Okay, so I'm moving over here where the sun is hopefully not jacking up the lighting too badly. All right, so we did get the roof on, and we did, I think I also put in this clip when we were doing the door, the shelves, and the window, because there is a vent window in this greenhouse. Let me show that to you. Woo. Real quickly here. Getting hung up on bags of compost. Okay, so let's see if I can get a good angle on this for you guys. Okay, so see this handle here? It just lifts this window out like that, and then there's a crank here where you tighten at the corner. So you can have it open further if you want to or not. It's just going to be dependent upon you. All right, so let's get back over here where it's not quite so bright so you can hopefully see me. All right. Now, with this section of the build, the other problem that we ended up having, particularly in the roof line itself, was the parts. Some of the parts that came in the kit had stickers and or had stamps in the pieces so that you knew which number they were. And then some of the pieces did not have numbers or designations on them, so you would have a picture of what it was and a number, and then there wouldn't be a number on a piece. So then it was a little bit of a Easter egg hunt. So I guess that training in childhood, you know, does teach you some vital life skills. But it wasn't preferable. Honestly, I would have preferred even if they had stamped all of the metal pieces, so that even if it just stayed in the metal, I would have been fine with that. There might be people out there who don't like having the numbers permanently metal stamped into their parts. I don't know if that's why they did some of them that way, and then some of them they did in stickers, but the ones that had stickers, like over half of them were faded, and we were having to kind of guess a little bit based upon the way that they were shaped and based upon some of the visible numbers. But yeah, the roof line, the hard part was a lot of things weren't numbered. For us anyway. The other thing that we found a little challenging was with this particular size. As I said at the beginning of the video, we got the Harmony Greenhouse, which is the 6 foot wide by 4 feet deep and then 7 foot tall. Some of the accessories that you buy with the Palram, like the shelves, are a little bit more challenging to install in this particular size, and that just has to do with the main structures of things. So let me take you inside and I'll show you what I mean. You should be able to see a little bit better since the sun's going down. Okay, so get you positioned here. So when we were installing the shelves, what you'll see here is there's this slat inside, okay? Let me see if I can see how there's this slat inside. And you've got a nut in your bolt and it fits in there. So that's easy enough, not a problem. But in the Harmony Greenhouse being smaller, these corner pieces over here, there is only 2 bolts. There's 2 bolts in specific areas, and well, 2 holes for the nuts and the bolts in specific areas. So we have a corner down here. Let me see if I can get you in here. It's a little awkward. I'm gonna bump the mic. Okay, so See this guy right here? There is no hole in the main frame. There's a hole here, obviously, for the shelf, but not in the frame. So the corner pieces here in the greenhouse on most of these shelves, they're only hanging on by 3. I'm not a huge fan of that. I mean, it's not really the worst thing in the world, I suppose, but call me crazy. I would like to have that security, that little bit extra stability of having more options. And granted, you could put holes in those locations, but the fact of the matter is we didn't know that we needed to until after we had the structure built, and that meant that we would have to take about 45% of the build apart to put the holes in without puncturing the polycarb, because this is an aluminum and polycarb. It's not the glass option. So that was another issue that we ended up running into at that point. Now let me show you some nice things that I really am excited about with the Palram. Alright, so this is one of the features that I'm really excited about with this Palram. If you see in here, this is a water collection area. So it has a gutter system along both sides, so over here and also over here. And what you do is you can attach pipe here and then funnel it down into a rain catchment barrel. So that is one thing that we are super duper excited about, because that means some water saving will be an option for us for next year. We had planned on doing some water barrels, but it was just going to be direct rainwater into them. This, however, is going to give us the ability to collect a little bit more. So, boom, big excitement there. All right, so the other thing that we didn't end up doing with the Palram involves the door. On the door there is a bottom attachment where it magnetizes either to the side and or to the door. However, the magnet didn't really stick. Obviously it's an aluminum build, but there is a piece of metal that it's supposed to attach to on the side over here. Let me show you. So the door here, it swings shut, and there was a piece that goes on the bottom, and over in here it was supposed to stick. It didn't really stick. Plus, the way that it hung down, it caught in the mulch, number one. And eventually we're going to be looking at putting some gravel out here, so it would have stuck in the gravel as well. So what we ended up doing is we took the magnet off for us, because it wasn't essential for closing the door. There's a handle that holds the door. Also, obviously we have a rock there and that works fine when we're wanting a little bit more airflow and to keep the door from going back and forth, which it really doesn't do that either. It doesn't seem to be one that swings, but we're not in a high wind time right now. So when the wind kicks up, I could see that being a little bit of a problem. But like I said, we've got the rock, and to each his own. You want to keep that part on, by all means, keep that part on. It didn't work for us. The other thing I think that was a primary problem was the shelves. Now, we also got the shelving through Palram. It's the complimentary ones that go to this. The one complaint that I have about the shelves, and they are super duper heavy sturdy shelves. However, a lot of the pieces were bent. So there was a lot of straightening, and when we were attaching said shelves to the walls inside, let's just say that if there's two of you, you really need to have a strong and secure relationship, because my mother and I came out of it fine. That's what I'm gonna say, because there were moments where we were so beyond frustrated with the directions and with particularly getting the shelves in, because of the way that you had to do it, the way that the bolts, they literally just slide down that gap, and then you have to hold them and make sure that they get in the slot, and then tighten them down real quick, and then pray that you had it level, because if you don't have it level and you are doing bottom watering in a seed tray, that water will just tip out. So it was important that we had them at least semi-level, so that we didn't have seed trays with water just dumping out into the gravel at the bottom of the greenhouse. So that, you do need to have a secure relationship, and or in other cases maybe you just need to have better tools than we did. That might have been part of our problem. Maybe we just didn't have the right tools for the job, which is totally on us. But we did survive the entire build. I am happy with what we have. We did say at the end of the whole situation that maybe we should have gotten the 6x6 instead of the 6x4, just so that we could have stored a little bit more of our potting mix and things inside, especially during the winter months, since we do lack storage inside our house. We've got it's a small house, so there's not a lot of storage for the garden supply stuff there. But I think for what our needs are, and now that we're getting organized with all of our garden stuff out here, and we have a plan of what specifically we want to seed start and what we don't want to seed start, what we're going to direct sow instead, basically, I think this build is going to work out just fine in the end. It's just getting some of the refinement stuff worked out and getting things organized this fall, which will be a fall thing, and that'll probably end up in a vlog too. Who knows? So I think that's all I've got for you on this Palram build. Once again, it is the Harmony, is what they call it, I believe. Yeah, Harmony. It's the Harmony greenhouse. So if you have any questions about it, any comments, if there's some information that you would like that I have not spoken about in this vlog, feel free to leave a comment below. Let me know. I'm more than happy to answer any of your questions. And guys, as always, keep it simple, natural, and essential, and I will see you on the next video.